Welcome, amazing students. I'm so glad you're here today. In today's video, I'm going to tell you a simple and fun story about a little puppy who gets lost. This story will help you practice your English in a fun way, so let's get started. One sunny morning, a little puppy named Max woke up early. Max was a small, fluffy puppy with soft brown fur and big, curious eyes. He lived in a small, cozy house with his family. Max loved his family very much. They gave him food, toys, and lots of love. But Max was also very curious. He liked to explore the world around him, and sometimes he liked to run outside and see what was in the garden. On this morning, Max was playing in the garden, the sun was shining brightly, and the air was warm. Suddenly, Max saw something beautiful in the air. It was a butterfly. The butterfly had colorful wings that looked like they were painted. Max's eyes grew wide with excitement. He wanted to follow it. The butterfly flew high into the air, and Max decided to chase it. He ran through the garden, jumping over flowers and bushes. The butterfly flew higher, and Max ran faster. He ran out of the garden and through the open gate. Max didn't stop to think. He was only focused on the butterfly, running after it. The butterfly flew up the street, and Max followed it. He didn't know that he was going farther and farther from his home. He just wanted to catch the butterfly. He ran down the street, past many houses and big trees. The street was busy. There were cars driving quickly, and people were walking on the sidewalks. Max didn't know where he was. He was scared, but he didn't want to stop running. Finally, the butterfly flew away and disappeared into the sky. Max stopped and looked around. He didn't know where he was. Everything looked different. There were big houses, tall trees, and cars everywhere. Max started to feel scared. He realized that he had run too far from home, and now he didn't know how to get back. Max looked around for his house. He could not see it. He began to bark, hoping someone would hear him. But the street was so busy and no one seemed to notice him. Max felt lonely and lost. He sat down on the sidewalk and looked up at the sky. He missed his family and the warm, safe house. Just then, Max saw a woman walking down the street. She was holding the leash of a big brown dog. The dog was calm and walked slowly beside her. The woman noticed Max sitting on the sidewalk looking lost. She walked over to him and smiled. "Hello, little puppy," the woman said gently. "Are you lost?" Max looked up at her and wagged his tail. He didn't know how to answer, but he hoped she would help him. The woman knelt down and petted Max on his head. "Don't worry," she said softly. "I will help you find your way home." The woman looked around. She didn't see anyone who knew Max, but she could tell that he was lost. She smiled at Max and said, "Let's go to the park. Maybe someone there has seen you." Max wagged his tail again. He felt better knowing that the woman was kind and wanted to help him. The woman walked with Max to the park, where many people were walking their dogs and playing with their children. They asked everyone they met if they had seen a small brown puppy, but no one had seen Max. Max felt a little sad. Where could his family be? But the woman didn't give up. She kept asking people if they had seen a little puppy. Some people had not seen Max, but they promised to keep an eye out. Max felt a little better. He was not alone. The woman was still there, and people were looking for him. As they walked through the park, Max saw many trees, flowers, and playgrounds. It was a big park, and Max had never been here before. He had always stayed in his little garden at home, but now he was on an adventure. After some time, the woman and Max reached a busy street. The woman looked around and Max looked too. They saw many cars, shops, and people walking by. Max looked up and saw a tall building in the distance. It looked like the street where his house was. Max's heart began to race. Could it be? Could it be his street? Max ran a little faster, wagging his tail. He was starting to feel hopeful. The woman smiled and walked beside him. They crossed the street, and Max looked closely at every house they passed. Finally, he saw a familiar garden. It had the same flowers, the same trees, and the same blue fence. Max barked loudly. "Woof! Woof!" He was home. The woman laughed and said, "You found it, little puppy." Max ran towards the gate and jumped up, excited to see his family again. The woman smiled and waved goodbye. "Take care, little Max," she said. When Max's family saw him, they were so happy. They had been worried about him. Max's owner, a kind man, knelt down and hugged Max tightly. "Where have you been, Max?" he asked. Max wagged his tail and licked his owner's face. Max was so happy to be home. He felt safe again. Max learned a big lesson that day. He learned not to run too far from home. He realized that sometimes it's easy to get lost if you don't pay attention. He also learned that there are kind people in the world who will help you when you're in trouble. From that day on, Max promised never to run too far away from home. He loved his family, and he always wanted to stay close to them. And so, Max lived happily ever after, playing in his garden, chasing butterflies, and staying close to his loving family. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story of Max the lost puppy. Remember, it's important to stay close to home, and always be careful when you're exploring. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Keep practicing English, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and keep learning.